You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Get your free inventor's information. Call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie. I'm a United States Special Forces widow. This gives me a unique perspective on the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View.
All right, this is Jessie. How y'all doing out there today? Sorry I missed you yesterday. There was some chaos going on in my area of operations. And rather than bring you guys a half-baked, half-hearted rush show, I said, let's pass. Because by the time I got the chaos straightened out, I would have had 15 minutes to get my show prep together. And I love you folks. I don't want to bring you a shoddy product. And 15 minutes is not enough to get the audio clips, the articles, and everything else wrapped up, tied up with a pretty little bow, and delivered. At least not well. It would have been one of those nights where, let me see if I can find it. Hang on, I think I got it. And while I don't mind doing that for a clip here and there, it would have been that on every clip. And I would have been flying like a banshee. So I decided, let's not. I just went, no, we're holding off. And trust me, I really wanted to be with you. There was no doubt of that, but I couldn't make it work. So, like I said, that was my decision at the 11th hour. It wasn't happening. But I hadn't sent out any tweets about the show, and I've got to get better at that. I really do. I do. Now, I'm torn here, folks. I may end the show tonight with taps. Now, no, before you go, wait, what, why? It has nothing to do with a recent casualty. It's to honor a former senator in POW. So, like I said, I just haven't decided. I'm going to make up my mind during the show. So I've got a little bit of everything loaded. And we will see what decision I come to while I'm on air with you. If you got an opinion on this, hit me up on Twitter at Jessie's POV. I am logged into my Twitter account during every show. So you can always reach out to me during the show. All right, what can I say? Now, there's a story I have been covering off on the side of my personal life. It's the kidnapping, and I know I don't do U.S. news, but I'm making an exception on this one. A 15-year-old girl named Elizabeth Thomas was abducted by a 51-year-old man. I think he was 51. And they believe he is in and around Corpus Christi, Texas. So any of my listeners in Texas, please, I will tweet out the story on from USA Today momentarily, and I'm looking to see if there's an Amber Alert out for this woman. This was a school teacher, someone she should have been able to trust. And she was kidnapped by this man called Tad Cummings. He's 50, excuse me. She has been missing since March 13th. A lot could have happened. Now, who knows what's going on? But all I can say, the authorities were originally looking for a silver Nissan Rogue with Tennessee license plate 976 Zulu Papa Tango, or ZPT. Again, that's a silver Nissan Rogue with Tennessee license plate 976 Zulu Papa Tango. Please, if you see that vehicle, do not approach them. Dial 911. Okay? Dial 911. I don't care what state you're in. You see that vehicle, please contact the authorities. And if you want, reach out to the Tennessee State Bureau of Investigations. I don't have their contact information. It's not in the article that I've got pulled up in front of me. But I'm just going to tell you, dial 911. They'll sort it from there. So, please. This poor girl has been in the clutches of a 50-year-old man since the 13th of March. That's a long time. So, this is a serious situation, folks. And you know I don't do U.S. news, I don't do politics. But as long as this has gone on, please. Now, when Elizabeth Thomas was last seen on March 13th, she was wearing a flannel shirt and black leggings. The man was seen shopping in Walmart, so he may have picked up changes of clothes, hair dye, and many other things, so we really don't know. But all I've got to say is, if you see that vehicle, please just dial 911. They'll take it from there. All right. I know, as usual, I've taken up the first 15 minutes of the show with announcements, but I felt that Elizabeth Thomas story was worth mentioning on air. I've been following it off air, and I wanted to bring it on air. With what I felt was good reason, folks. I mean, how would you feel if this was your daughter, your granddaughter, or a young woman you loved and cared about? What would you want me to do? And I understand not all of my listeners are here in the United States, but the majority of them are. Now, we are going to take just a brief 1-minute commercial break so I can sort something out, and then we will get on with the show.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
Everything is changing. Little Superman falls. Everything is breaking apart.
All right, thank you for hanging in there with me. I had to grab a bottle of water, and I didn't want to leave you guys just hanging around in silence or hearing me rummage around in the case of water. So that hence the reason for the break. Moving right along. There has been a lot, and I do mean a lot of military news. I've got stuff from the U.S. I've got stuff involving, of course, the Middle East. Don't I always have Middle East? Come on, what would this show be but without our friends in the Middle East? North Korea, Iran, and Iraq and Syria, and good old Bashar al-Assad. I even have an Israeli story today. In fact, I think we're going to lead off with that one just to get him out of the way. All right. This story actually kind of irks me, and all my listeners, you know I'm Jewish. Well, if you're a regular listener, you know. I don't make it a secret. Thousands of ultra-Orthodox Israelis protest the military draft. Tuesday's protest was one of several following the recent detention of a rabbi's son who refused to report to a draft office. Okay, first of all, over in Israel, you have to understand military service is mandatory. However, exemptions are granted to ultra-Orthodox Jews who declare their values at a recruitment center. Those who refuse to go to the recruitment center, do the declaration, fill out the paperwork, whatever this entails, can be detained. Now, of course, your ultra-Orthodox leaders say they serve the Jewish nation through religious study and prayer, and fear integration in the army threatens their insular pious lifestyle. Alright, if you don't know anything about the ultra-Orthodox Jewish community, boy, they might as well be living on Mars in some cases. And I'm Jewish, so I can get away with this one. From sundown Friday to sundown Saturday, there is strict, and I mean strict, observance. They won't carry a key anywhere. They will walk everywhere. They won't turn on or off any appliance. They go so far as they won't tear toilet paper. Yeah, you heard that right. They go that far. I love my Jewish religion. I also believe that there are extremes in everything. And while I understand not doing work on the Sabbath, which is Saturday, which is why usually for Jews it's Friday, from sundown Friday to sundown Saturday, which is why I do my show Friday night, but you usually get a pre-record if I do anything on Saturday. I acknowledge the Sabbath. I still turn on enough lights and take care of what I need to take care of. But the ultra-Orthodox don't do that. Now, draft privileges go back to when Israel's founders granted exemptions to a few hundred gifted students to help rebuild the schools of Jewish learning destroyed in the Holocaust. But the numbers of ultra-Orthodox have ballooned dramatically. I mean, they've grown exponentially, people. I can't even begin to explain it. And the exemptions have begun to breed resentment among Israel's secular majority, whose children mostly serve right out of high school. And I believe it's a 2-year commitment. Don't quote me, I'd have to look that up, and I'm not going to do it right now. But yes, military service is mandatory in Israel. But what annoys me, all the guy had to do was go to the draft office, state his beliefs, fill out whatever paperwork was required, and he didn't have to go on a Sabbath. He could go any time it was convenient. In fact, many things in Israel close on the Sabbath. There's even what they call Shabbat, which is the English way of saying Sabbath. Shabbat elevators. If you stay in a hotel, the Shabbat elevator, will stop on every floor so you don't have to push a button. Haven't figured out how they get in their hotel rooms, but the Shabbat elevator will stop on every floor. So it's really interesting. Now they do make special Shabbat lights, so you can literally turn a shield over the light so it isn't visible. But yet you're not physically turning off a light switch. It amazes me what crazy things they've come up with. And of course they use things like there's a Shabbat or Sabbath setting on many appliances. You've probably got one on your oven and don't even know it. Most American appliances actually have a setting where it'll keep the oven on a low temperature for 24 hours. I wouldn't know how to use it on my oven either, don't worry. But I just find it amazing that this kid couldn't be bothered just to go to a draft office, declare his intentions, and fill out paperwork. And now thousands of religious ultra-Orthodox are out protesting. Give me a break. Suck it up, Buttercup. Fill out the paperwork. Be done with this noise. Alright, I'll save that story for later in the show. I'm debating whether I should go with Middle East, South China Sea. Let's start with the good old SecDef. Yes, I've got some James Mattis, or Secretary of Defense Mattis, or Mad Dog Mattis updates, and DoD updates as well. Alright, Secretary of Defense Mattis has been a busy beaver. He's met with a number of leaders of heads of state and the Secretary General of NATO in the past few days. Yesterday he met with the Qatari Minister of State for Defense Affairs, Dr. Khalid Al-Attiyah, to discuss the security partnership between the U.S. and Qatar. The Secretary and the Minister affirmed the strategic partnership. They discussed mutual security interests, including the current state of operations against Daesh. The Secretary expressed appreciation for Qatar hosting the U.S. forces and emphasized the importance of its contributions to the counter-Daesh coalition. And I've got a brief audio clip on that. Let's take a quick listen.
The interests that we share are what bind us together, but there's also a friendship between our forces, thanks to your hosting of so many of our forces there and the support you've given.
Now, if you recall, we station a lot of forces in Qatar before and since Gulf War II. I think we did some during Gulf War I, but I'd have to check my facts. But we do have a number of forces hosted in Qatar. And I would have to say they are a Middle East ally. All right. And I'm knocking stuff over on my desk. U.S. Department of Defense has confirmed that U.S. counterterrorism airstrike conducted on March 19th in Paktika Province, Afghanistan, resulted in the death of Qari Yassin, a well-known Al-Qaeda terrorist leader responsible for the death of dozens of innocent victims, including 2 American service members. Let me repeat that, including 2 American service members. Yassin, a senior terrorist figure from Balochistan, Pakistan, has ties to Tariq-e-Taliban and had plotted multiple Al-Qaeda terror attacks, including the September 20th, 2008 bombing on the Marriott Hotel in Islamabad that killed dozens of innocent people. Among them, U.S. Air Force Major Rodolfo Rodriguez and Navy cryptologic technician, 3rd Class Petty Officer Matthew J. O'Brien. Yassin was also responsible for the 2009 attack on a bus carrying the Sri Lankan cricket team in Lahore. 6 Pakistani policemen and 2 civilians were killed, and 6 members of the team were injured. And the quote from Mattis at the end of this press release says, "The death of Qari Yassin is evidence that terrorists who defame Islam and deliberately target innocent people will not escape justice." Oh, what's that, Host Kitty? Host Kitty likes these dead, and I say, a round of applause. They did a good job. That's one less evildoer in this world. Alright, Secretary of Defense Mattis has also met, I mentioned NATO. Let's play the brief audio clip from the NATO meeting. Now, these audio clips are very brief because they were essentially taken during the photo ops. And what you hear in the background is camera shutters.
NATO under you is evolving to defend against aggression and respond to terrorist threats along the southern flank from the Mediterranean to Turkey's border.
So NATO is evolving. NATO, up until recently, did not cover acts of terrorism. But it's funny, the first time Article 5 of NATO was used was 9/11, when we called out NATO. Now, we're going to briefly play the Greece audio clip, and then we got to go pay them bills. Oh yeah, we do. It's going to be time for me to take a real commercial break. So, and I will say that all the public comments are very similar. They're a little bit bland, but they are at least something.
We've got to stick together. The unity of the NATO alliance is absolutely critical to maintain the security for all the nations in Europe. And so, again, I would just say that relationships don't ever stay the same in this world. They either get better or they decline. And I am committed to an improving relationship from the already good relationship we have between our 2 nations.
And that was with the representative from Greece. All right, folks. I will see you on the other side of that commercial break. And as always, if you want to interact with me during the show, you can hit me up on Twitter at Jessie's POV.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine combat veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 8687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Get your free inventor's information. Call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Everything is changing.
for hanging in there with me while we pay them bills. We are going to move on to the Middle East. Like I said, what would this show be without some Middle East news? Reports out of Daesh's final Iraq stronghold Mosul indicate at least 100 civilians died in airstrikes, almost certainly carried out by the U.S.-led coalition. Now, the Pentagon hasn't eased their rules of engagement, but what they have done is allow the decisions about whether to release munitions or not be made at lower levels. And also, what you have to realize is that the civilians are being pushed into a tighter and tighter and tighter area. And what Daesh is trying to do is get the U.S. to stop the air campaign altogether. Yeah. They want us to 100% stop our air campaign. Now, quite honestly, folks, that's bubkus. Why should we stop an air campaign that is being extremely effective? Of course, Amnesty International gathered local reports of scores more civilians being killed in their homes after being told by Iraqi officials not to flee. It called the situation a flagrant violation of international humanitarian law. All right. The Iraqi officials, whether they were Iraqi officials or not, have said that the safest place for the civilians is in their homes. Why? At least we have a clue where they're going to be. However, Secretary of Defense Mattis did give a brief statement on civilian casualties. And now this was done at a photo spray, so you will hear the camera shutters in the background. Let's take a listen.
We go out of our way to always do everything humanly possible to reduce the loss of life or injury among innocent people. The same cannot be said for our adversaries.
Like I said, we go out of our way to reduce loss of innocent life among civilians. Let's take a listen to those important words one more time in case you missed it.
We go out of our way to reduce the loss of life or injury among innocent people. The same cannot be said for our adversaries.
Just look at the barrel bombs, the cluster munitions, and all the crap Assad and Russia dropped on Aleppo. Never mind Daesh and their crimes against humanity. And yes, if you don't think Daesh has committed crimes against humanity, you are quackers. Yep, you're quacking like a duck. Now, I mean, if you compare the precision-guided munitions we use and the rules of engagement we use, we do our best. Look at the cluster munitions, barrel bombs, and tons of unguided gravity bombs dropped from Russia and by Russia and Syria. And never mind what Daesh does. And according to retired U.S. Air Force Major General Charles Dunlap, the grim truth is that given Daesh's tactics, civilians will die in the effort to crush the terrorists. Daesh wants us to stop the airstrikes. Daesh has used inhumane tactics, terrorizing civilians, using human shields, and fighting from protected sites such as schools, hospitals, religious sites, and civilian neighborhoods. For this reason, we must accept the sad truth and expect more civilians to die as a result of the campaign against Daesh. But you can also expect the United States to be more accountable than any other nation when it comes to reconciling and making reparation for civilian victims of U.S. airstrikes. And I believe. All right. I got just a couple of articles on Raqqa, then we're going to run along to Yemen, and then I've got the Korean chaos. Russia has called us out for bombing the Tabiqua Dam. A senior Russian general has criticized the U.S.-led coalition fighting Daesh for allegedly targeting infrastructure, including the Tabiqua Dam, held by the extremist group in Syria. Colonel General Sergei Rudovsky of the military's general staff on Tuesday accused the coalition of trying to completely destroy critical infrastructure in Syria and complicate post-war reconstruction as much as possible. Rudovsky further claimed the coalition jets had destroyed 4 bridges over the Euphrates River in Syria and hit the Tabiqua Dam to the west of the extremist de facto capital, Raqqa. Rudovsky said the collapse of the dam would cause an ecological catastrophe and lead to numerous civilian deaths. The U.S. coalition says, we're being as careful as we can, and the dam has not suffered structural damage. The Tabiqua Euphrates Dam is not damaged or malfunctioning, and engineers inspected as it operates fully. And this is according to a Syrian rebel spokeswoman after Daesh militants said it was at risk of collapse. The U.S.-backed Syrian Democratic Forces are fighting to repel Daesh from the dam 40 kilometers upstream of Raqqa, but paused on Sunday to give engineers access after Daesh warned them the dam could crumble. We permitted a team of engineers to enter the dam to verify the process of its operations. They checked it fully, and there is no malfunction or damage to the dam or its operations, as was rumored. Sheikh Ahmed, the SPF spokeswoman, said in a Jahin Sheikh Ahmed, the Syrian Democratic Forces, SPF. I'm looking for the acronym and I'm not seeing it, so I'm just going to say she's probably with the Syrian Democratic Forces somehow. She's a Syrian rebel spokeswoman. Said in a statement on its Raqqa campaign social media feed. She even accused Daesh, which continues to hold parts of the dam, of spreading rumors aimed at causing panic among civilians. Colonel Joseph Sokora, spokesman for the U.S.-led coalition against Daesh, which is supporting the SDF operation, said it was taking every precaution to ensure the dam's integrity. We do not assess the dam to be in imminent danger unless Daesh plans to destroy it. He said, unless Daesh plans to destroy it. The SDF are in control of a spillway north of the dam that provides water to an irrigation reclamation canal, which can be used to alleviate pressure on the dam if need be. So, Raqqa and Mosul, both of these are going to be hard, bloody, tough campaigns. Now, we got 15 minutes, and we got to pick up the pace just a wee bit, folks, because I got more to get to. I always seem to have more show prep than I have time for. The Trump administration is expected to decide as soon as this week on a plan to increase U.S. military involvement in Yemen's civil war. Yes, you heard that right. The proposal calls for stepping up military assistance to support Saudi Arabia and the UAE or United Arab Emirates in their fight against the Iran-backed Houthi rebels who have toppled the central government there. The move would have significant implications for U.S. military posture on Iran, while Yemen is a key location for a top al-Qaeda affiliate. The proposal is part of the overall military plan to counter Daesh, which is being reviewed by the White House. But in contrast to other parts of the strategy, an increased U.S. support to Saudi and UAE could be interpreted by Iran as the beginning of a Trump administration effort to build an anti-Iranian military coalition. If Iran perceives U.S. assistance to Tehran's foes in Yemen as anti-Iranian movement, it could hurt the U.S. efforts to fight Daesh in Syria and northern Iraq, where until now anti-Iranian militias have stayed largely away from interfering with U.S. efforts. Of course, the White House and the Pentagon have not publicly indicated they are trying to build an anti-Iranian coalition, although Secretary of Defense Mattis is known to be determined to curb Iran's influence. The most immediate decision for the White House and Pentagon is whether to provide UAE with intelligence and air refueling in their upcoming efforts to stage an amphibious assault on the Yemeni coastline to retake key areas. Now, 1, you gotta know, Yemen is a huge hotspot. Huge hotspot. 2. This wouldn't be the first time we've provided this level of assistance to an ally. It would not. Not by a million miles, folks. Alright, and of course, the Al-Qaeda affiliate is AQAP, or Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. The U.S. has provided similar assistance in the past, but has come under criticism of the international community due to the high level of civilian casualties the Gulf efforts in Yemen have caused. Now remember, the Houthi rebels have fired on at least 2 U.S. ships. They have run an entire government out of town, and God knows what else they've done. They are not nice people, folks. The proposed assistance, however, does not include putting U.S. military forces on the ground in this operation. Of course, special forces have been and will continue to move in and out of Yemen in small teams to gather intelligence. So, guys, our spec ops can turn up anywhere in the world they want, and they will be successful. So, of course, U.S. officials would not confirm whether intelligence gathered inside Yemen played a role in recent decision to ban consumer electronics devices in airline passenger cabins, but 3 defense officials in recent days have told CNN that the ban was largely centered around fresh intelligence concerns, and you got to hear this, that AQAP had progressed in its efforts to design and manufacture explosive devices that could not, I repeat, could not be detected by airport screening technology. These 3 officials have told CNN that the intelligence leading to the decision to ban electronics was specific, credible, and reliable. So, folks, that's one quote that I did pull from CNN. Not everything came from there, though. Trump is trying to get the deal of a lifetime. Mr. Art of the Deal his envoy has met with the Palestinian leader, the foreign ministers of Qatar and Egypt, and the EU foreign policy chief to talk about reviving Israeli-Palestinian peace efforts. Jason Greenblatt held the meetings on the sidelines of an Arab summit. Palestinian Foreign Minister Riyad Malki says Palestine, the President Mahmoud Abbas, and Greenblatt met because the American administration still needs certain clarifications. Israeli settlement construction is and will be an issue. Negotiations have been deadlocked for several years, in part over Israel's building on war-won lands sought for a Palestinian state. And Abbas says he cannot and will not negotiate while settlements grow. Greenblatt tweeted after his meeting with Qatar foreign ministers as they exchanged views on how to move peace efforts forward, combat terrorism, and help the people of Gaza. This was just a funny side note I tripped over. Sudan's president, sought by the International Criminal Court on war crimes charges, has been welcome in Jordan despite calls by human rights groups to deny him entry. Omar al-Bashir is among 21 Arab leaders gathered for a summit. The International Criminal Court charged him in 2009 and 2010 with genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes in connection with his government's campaign against insurgents in Sudan's Darfur region. Al-Bashir was welcomed Tuesday by Jordan's King Abdullah. Jordan is an International Criminal Court member, has said Arab League member Sudan has a right to attend Wednesday's summit. Al-Bashir has traveled despite the International Criminal Court's arrest warrants, but is very careful where he goes. I would be too, folks. I would be too. Alright, Asia Pacific region. Whew. I got a lot to cover. Alright, we're going to start off with the South China Sea, because this is going to be the fastest of the topics. Oh yes, the South China Sea. Despite promises not to militarize artificial islands, yes, China's own version of real-world Minecraft, in the South China Sea, aircraft hangars and radar have been installed and the operations are complete on these artificial islands. The new facilities will further establish China's military dominance over the highly contested region. The defense and infrastructure on 3 of China's largest artificial islands in the disputed Spratly Chain, Fiery Cross, Mischief, and Subi Reefs. Each of the islands has brand new aircraft hangars capable of holding 24 military aircraft, as well as several larger hangars that can hold bombers or surveillance planes, though completion of these facilities in early 2017 was expected. The question remains, where is China going from here? You don't build facilities like that and turn around and not use them. A Chinese Ministry of Affairs spokeswoman said Tuesday she wasn't aware of the report's details, but reiterated the Spratly Islands were Chinese territory. Alright, folks, remember this was sent to the International Court of Arbitration because other countries do claim these territory. Now, one of the things they could do is establish an air defense identification zone. It has long been considered a possibility by analysts, especially in the wake of July's International Court decision against China's maritime claims. Alright, folks, China is essentially trying to say the entire South China Sea is ours, and you can't touch it, you can't sail on it, you can't fish in it. It's ours, ours, ours. And folks, defying an international court?
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
Especially if you want to be taken seriously on the world stage. South China Sea tensions had waned in the past 9 months since Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte took power and sought closer relationship with China. If China deploys aircraft, there will be no pro forma protests from certain countries. Vietnam in particular, there will be grumbling from certain ASEAN countries. There will be pro forma protests from Vietnam. There will be grumbling from certain ASEAN countries, which is the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Then over a period of time, this will become the norm. Alright, and Japan has loaned Manila military planes for the South China Sea. The Philippines Monday took delivery of 2 Japanese military surveillance craft to help it patrol vital sea lanes in the South China Sea, despite Manila's increasing conciliatory stance to Beijing claims over the disputed waters. So, folks, this story ain't over yet. Mark my words, this is going to be a hot zone. and someone is going to get hurt. Alright. I've got one or two South Korean stories, and then we've got the lunatic to the north, and then our senator. And boy, I should be wrapping it up. Hey Rick, if you're listening, I'm running long, dude. I had a whole extra night's worth of show prep to squeeze in here, and I gotta cover at least some of it. Alright. If arrested, former president of South Korea, Park Geun-hye, if she is arrested, she will be sent to a solitary cell while she will be expected to rise at 6:30 in the morning and be in bed by 9 p.m. The only privilege she would have over other inmates will be a slightly larger cell, a toilet, and a shower in an adjoining room, rather than within her cell. Park moved out, of course, of Blue House just over 2 weeks ago. She has already been met with prosecutors for over 14 hours. Park is now in her private residence in an upscale Seoul neighborhood, but local court will rule on Friday on a warrant seeking her arrest. If granted, the 65-year-old will be held in detention for 20 days while she is investigated and possibly indicted on charges that could imprison her for at least 10 years. So, Park will likely stay in a single cell in a remote building for security reasons to keep her separate from other inmates, the former prosecutors and prison officials said, but she will be subject to the same rules on everything from meals to room inspections. She will be allowed to watch television during the day, but only a single channel with pre-recorded programs authorized by the Justice Ministry. Visitors are limited to one per day, but detained inmates are allowed unlimited meeting time with their lawyers. The Korean Correctional Service, which operates the country's prisons and detention centers, lists a rotating set of meals that provide 2,500 calories a day. One of the other privileges Park will have to give up if arrested will be getting her hair coiffed in the crop chigan style that is her trademark. Since taking office, Park has never been seen in public without a perfect chigan. She is last seen emerging after 14 hours of interrogation by prosecutors last week with her signature style intact. So, of course, Park's side will be highly unlikely to insist they need an outsider to come in and do her hair. Inmates do have access to hairdressers inside, but services are limited to cutting hair. Cosmetics at the detention center, like every detention center I've ever heard of around the world, well, most of them anyway, are limited to the basics like toner and lotion. Hair dye is also unavailable. Park will also not be allowed hairpins. It's not clear immediately which detention center from among the 5 in the Seoul metropolitan area will be used for Park if she is arrested. Choi and Samsung Sion Lee, who is accused of giving bribes to Park for corporate favors, are being held at the Seoul Detention Center, but officials there declined to comment on where Park will be taken if she's arrested. The center, however, is considered to be her most likely destination if the arrest warrant is issued. Lee Sun-gil, 77, a retired Justice Ministry official who is the chief at Seoul Detention Center when Raw was there, said the former president was given a bigger cell and a separate shower room and toilet, whereas other inmates had washstands and toilets inside their cells. Officers redesigned an old cell, furnishing a desk and a bed for the former president, but cells were inspected every day like others. Samsung's Lee has no shower, only a washstand in his cell and a mattress on the floor to sleep on. Kim, the retired prosecutor, said Park would have some benefits as former president, but no real advantages. She is 65 and a woman, so in that regard she will be taken care of, but in the meantime she will be going through investigations while being in there, despite her age and status as former president. Alright. I gotta sum up all this. We're gonna have to do a whole show on North Korea tomorrow night, folks, but let's just say North Korea could be in the final stages of nuclear preparations, and they did test another engine Yes, the third consecutive successful test of an engine believed to be that of an ICBM. And I have decided, folks, we are going to end the show on tap. So before I read this, just as a reminder, you can always find me on Twitter at Jessie's POV. And you can miss the show live? Never fear. It's on iTunes, it's on Google Play, it's on podcast.com, Pocket Cast, Blueberry, and many, many, many places where podcasts are found. All right. This story will be the final words for those of you who are new to the show. Whenever I end the show by honoring a deceased member of the United States Armed Forces, the last thing I read, usually it's a DoD brief, but I'm going to read out a slightly longer story tonight, and then the last sound you will hear tonight will be taps. Prisoner of war Jeremiah Denton declared his loyalty to the U.S. government during a 1966 interview for what was supposed to be a propaganda film. But his enraged captors missed his more covert message. Torture blinked into the camera in Morse code. A dispatch that would alert the U.S. military to the conditions he endured. Denton, who had survived 7.5 years confined in a tiny, stinking, windowless cell at the infamous Hanoi Hilton and other camps before his release in 1973, died of heart problems Friday in Virginia Beach, Virginia, at age 89. The elder Denton became the first Republican from Alabama elected to the U.S. Senate since Reconstruction, though the iron will that allowed him to persevere in captivity gave rise to criticism. He was too rigid of a politician. Some of the quotes from Denton was, "They beat you with fists and fan belts. They warmed you up and threatened you with death. They really got serious and gave you something called the rope trick. They used ropes to cut off circulation in his limbs, and that left him with no feeling in his fingertips and intense muscle spasms. Some of the most severe torture came after the 1966 interview, in which he confounded his captors by saying that he continued to fully support the U.S. government and, quote, "I will support it as long as I live. In the early morning hours, I prayed that I could keep my sanity until they released me. But I couldn't even give in to their demands because there were none. It was pure revenge." The tape was widely seen, and U.S. intelligence expert had picked up on the Morse code message. But Denton theorized later his captors likely figured it out only after he was awarded the Navy Cross, the second highest decoration for valor, for the Blinks in 1974. Navy Commander Jeremiah Denton Jr. had been a prisoner of war in North Vietnam for nearly 10 months when he was interviewed by a Japanese television reporter on May 2, 1966, as part of a propaganda campaign. His blinking torture in Morse code was the first clear confirmation American POWs were being tortured. Denton was the senior officer among the former POWs who have stepped off a plane into freedom at Clark Air Base in the Philippines. Denton epitomized the military's spirit as he spoke for the returning soldiers. "We are honored to have had the opportunity to serve our country under difficult circumstances. We are profoundly grateful to our Commander-in-Chief and to our nation for this day. God bless America." Commander Denton, thank you for your service. This country owes you a debt of gratitude that can never be repaid.